Hello, and welcome to Movie of the Year, the only podcast with the science and the screaming to determine what is the single greatest movie of any given year. My name is Ryan, and I am so happy to report that we are back to covering the year 1971. Now that it is 2028, we can be done with 2025, and we can get back to the movies that made us 15 years before we were born. We have a doozy of a show tonight. For some of you, I'll call you the weird ones, the ones I don't want to meet, the movie you've been looking forward to the most all season. It is A Clockwork Orange. Tonight, like every normal show, it will be a sort of conversation/game show where I will invite one of my closest friends and one of my furthest enemies. I will not tell them which one is which. And they will compete for points based on their movie analysis, their love of me, their compliments. I have chosen a specific body part that I want complimented tonight. And when they figure that out, they will get bonus points. Let's meet those people now. My first contestant, who knows if he won or lost on our last normal episode? There's no way of fucking telling. I went to Wikipedia today to look up Movie of the Year, and the page was down. I don't know what happened. Mike, what's going on there?
I won.
Oh,
And
you did?
I'll say I won, and we all remember what a win it was. What an episode. What a movie that one was.
Yes.
We
The Last
definitely
Picture
remember.
Show.
Oh, so some of us do remember. And Ryan, may I say your right earlobe looks quite fetching tonight.
Oh, does it? The one covered in headphones? You piece of shit. Greg gets a point. Oh, Greg's here. Hi, Greg.
And also, Ryan, in your intro, you said like, "Oh, this is probably the one the sickos wanted." That reminds me of the Karina Longworth podcast, the one that she did about Charles Manson.
Uh-huh.
The episode where she gets to the murder, she's like, "A lot of you were probably really looking forward to this, but I find this kind of stuff disturbing." I wasn't looking for. Wait, hang on.
Yeah, and she did clear her name, though. Like, if you thought that she was into serial murders. No.
Well, Ryan, I am looking forward to making a killing tonight.
That's amazing, Greg. And thank you for not complimenting the earlobes you cannot see.
No, but the inside of both of your elbows, fetch.
Not bonus points, but points for sure. So Greg's up to nothing.
I think Greg might win this one because I'm so distracted by the glisten on your décolletage, Ryan.
Does that mean
Ryan, out of the three of us, Ryan has the worst décolletage. I have to say. It goes me, then far second Mike, and then way in the back Ryan. Come on.
Ryan also has the least amount of chance knowing what that word means. So these are all Greg points.
Cleavage. It's a very fancy way of saying like, damn, those things are thangin'.
I thought it meant like clavicle area.
Yeah, it's like chest, but like if you're seeing a nice chest, that's a classy way of being like, "Awooga,
New
awooga."
Pornhub search term.
So like, I like the necklace on top of that titty crack. Better way
Yeah,
of saying that.
exactly.
Hey, girl.
Yeah.
Guys, we don't have time for this décolletage, okay?
No, we don't.
We have to get to the movie of the night. It is A Clockwork Orange. I'm going to start with this. Were you guys looking forward to this show or hoping that it never came?
I don't think I felt either way. I was interested to see what this was like because a lot of times what this show is like an experience of being on it is you're holding up the cultural memory of the thing and then you're viewing what it actually is. And so I was very interested to see like what it really was. And it was disturbing in all the ways I remember and then weird in a whole bunch of ways that I didn't really remember.
Yeah, it's also the kind of thing where like it's not just society's opinions, but society's decisions of what to parody and what clips to show for our entire lives instead of what actually happens in the movie.
I've seen like every character that I know of dressed like one of these droogs, right?
Mike,
And we most recently saw all the Droogs friends again in a Space Jam, A New Legacy.
okay, it's
That
just Space
felt so
Jam, A
good.
New Legacy. It's not a Space Jam. Just like, should we watch a Space Jam tonight?
I couldn't remember where the went.
Space Jam. That's how you know
that's
he's
my
legit
people.
Italian.
Yeah, that's the most Italian shit you've ever said.
And I didn't want to be mocked, so I was like, don't put it in the middle.
I think we should now pronounce it from now on Space Jamma New Legacy. Mike, were you looking forward to this? Is this a movie that you have a lot of experience with?
I watched it in high school, and then never again the twain shall meet until this very show, which I guess surprised me, but it's interesting what scenes were burned into my brain and what scene like just totally fucking forgot. I shocked the intro scene of the milk bar, what you think a teenager would remember. Didn't remember that at all. I didn't remember that bar. And I was like, wow, guys.
Do you remember
I feel
when
like
you were much younger, same amount of chubby, but chubby in a much different way? Do you remember if you liked it?
I think so.
Okay. Greg, how about you? Is this your first watch?
No, I also saw it when I was a younger man.
It's the only time you kind of want to is back then.
There is something like back then. It felt like there was something transgressive about watching it. Not that like you supported the violence or the sex, but like that something about that made you sort of drawn to it. And it was about, especially when you're a young guy, and it's about young guys like terrorizing people. And then I read the book, and but then it was like put that away for basically ever until now, and then again, obviously I got very hype when I saw them in a Space Jam. But no, that felt like the end of something in a way. Like it felt like that was, I don't know, like whatever relevance this movie still had, it felt like, or like whatever punk credibility it might still have, at least in the moment where I saw them in the serververse, I was like, this feels like the end of this, you know? As if like suddenly Repo Man popped up in the middle of all that. You'd be like, oh, that's a shame.
Yeah, but I mean, not just the end of Clockwork Orange, but the end of society in general. So everyone goes down
like the
together.
end of entertainment. It felt like just like it's like it's all over, folks. Could someone like turn off the lights before they leave?
Well, let me ask you this, Greg. I'll keep going with you. What about now? Is this a classic? Is this an all-timer? Should the top seeds of our bracket be nervous?
I think it's a movie that has a tremendous aesthetic appeal and makes a lot of really interesting choices. But on the balance, I didn't feel as profoundly moved as you do when there's like a movie that's in real contention. So I definitely liked it. I mean, the opening is about as powerful an opening as as anything you're going to see. But there are some choices, I think, to like sort of engage with the slow parts of the movie that I didn't even have any memory of, and I think that there's interesting choices there, but it makes the experience kind of maybe a little bit of a slog, I guess.
It's funny too, because if you're ever, and I know the three of us are often in a conversation about your favorite Kubrick movies, it never comes up, at least for me, and so much of that is because of his oeuvre, right? Like, how do you get to the top of that? But honestly,
it feels like a vibe more than a like it's not remembered as an artistic endeavor. It feels like it's more like remembered as a series of aesthetic choices.
Right. Mike, what do you think? Is this a contender?
No. But like such an interesting watching experience because of the Barry Lyndons, and this is our fourth Kubrick, right? We did Eyes Wide Shut, Barry Lyndon.
So cool to start with Eyes Wide Shut.
And did we do The Shining, or do I just watch that a lot?
Did we do it?
You just watch that a lot.
We've never. So third Kubrick, and yeah, it's interesting to hold it up in its canon. I don't think the guy has made. I haven't seen all his movies, so you can point out maybe he has made a stinker. I've not seen a stinker from him, and I'm including this is not a stinker, but it is not the top of his barrel, a phrase everybody says, nor the top of our barrel of 1971.
All right. Well, that doesn't mean that. And this is why podcasts exist. That doesn't mean that there's not a ton to dive into, right? Like,
no.
There's a lot of things that I want to hear you say, even though I have been hearing other people say the things you guys are about to say for my entire life. We have not said those things yet. That is why we are here tonight. When we come back,
podcasting.
A Clockwork Orange. In a story that begins similarly to the origins of The Last Picture Show, director Stanley Kubrick had been given Anthony Burgess's novel A Clockwork Orange to read, but had set it aside. His wife, much like Polly Platt did to Peter Bogdanovich, read it and implored him to consider making it his next movie. At the time, Kubrick was busy with his Napoleon movie that would never come to be. He read it, loved it, and wrote the script himself. The adaptation would be something that Napoleon and his last film, 2001: A Space Odyssey, would never be. Lean, low-budgeted, and focused. The movie tells the story of Alex DeLarge, a last name he presumably gives himself. Alex is your average 17-year-old boy of the not-so-distant future, if that boy's 3 favorite things were rape, ultraviolence, and Beethoven. When Alex is finally captured by the police, he is sent to prison and eventually volunteers for the Ludovico Technique, where his eyes are forced open with metal clamps, and he watches violent movies all day. Movies like this movie that we were all forced to watch. The movie debuted to mixed reviews and has had a lifespan of consideration, reconsideration, influence, and parody. Taste buds, I ask you this. Is A Clockwork Orange ultimately arguing that removing a person's ability to choose evil is itself a greater moral crime than the evil they might commit? Is that the whole shebang? Greg, I'll start with you.
I hesitate to just go yes. But if there's a weakness to this movie and if there's a weakness to the book, it's that its point is like fairly clear. Like the priest lays out, that
of all people, the priest.
Yeah. That the whole idea is God gives humans free will and then they're supposed to choose to be good. And that if you remove that, the ability of the choice, not only like you don't create a good being, but you make sure that the good being can't like come into existence. Like no one's teaching these kids how to be good. And so then the idea is you use violence to prevent future violence, and that is just ineffective. That's not going to work.
But isn't that how religion sort of works? Is, God gave us free will, but let's take away every single decision that you could make to go against God until you're basically just there being religious.
Most organized religions fall into like a sort of paradox whereby their own orthodoxy doesn't like stand up next to like something like a church or like a priesthood or something like that. And so, yeah, I think that, once you have like a series of religious leaders, then they kind of fail the religion because the religion is about freedom of choice. But then the religious leaders are like, freedom of choice, and I'm going to force you to choose what I want.
Freedom of choice. And also people who aren't in our religion should follow what we're saying right now.
They should choose to do that as soon as they possibly can or go to hell forever, where you can't choose anything.
And we'll come over there and fucking send them to hell ourselves.
We're the peaceful religion.
Mike, once this chaplain lays out, or even before that, are you then left to find... I don't want to get into the aesthetics of the movie yet, or, what Kubrick is doing stylistically, but are you then sort of forced to analyze the film from other smaller sub things?
Yes. Yeah, because the minute like you're watching, you're like, so it's about this pretty quickly. And... that's fine. Not every movie has to... I think Kubrick has taught us his movies are layered and you really need to get your teeth in there. That's why this one's not. And that's why a Southern California punk band took their iconography. They didn't take it from Barry Lyndon because that's too smart.
Although, that would be cool.
Yeah. Barry and the Lyndons? they got a stand-up bass.
Barry Lyndon, but B-U-R-Y?
Oh.
But, Mike, you make a really good point, though. Like, I think we are also hitting upon what has made this a successful film in the long run, which is that it has an obvious interpretation, and you'll come to that conclusion just watching the movie. But if you're not used to like sort of figuring out what movies mean, I think this could be a rewarding experience, like for the person who's never really analyzed a text before, to come away from it and be like, well, that was a worse type of violence. And hold on, that guy didn't have free will, so he couldn't even be good if he wanted to be. Like,
which is kind of
that's an exciting thing in a way.
Impeccable, because it entices the youngest, dumbest male viewers to then figure out a movie, even if the figuring out is sort of done for them.
It does feel like it's 39 years earlier Fight Club. Like it would probably scratch the same kind of itch for people who might not understand what the movie is saying.
But there's a lot of complaints that Fincher did not clearly state what his thesis was, like Kubrick does.
And in the case of both movies here, we have books that have an additional chapter that aren't turned into the movie. And so, like, for instance, Fight Club ends, and he's in an insane asylum, and he is, like, hearing that his religion is catching on and that they're going to come break him out. And
is that when he turns into 12 Monkeys?
And that's he 12 Monkeys it. And then A Clockwork Orange, like, everything that I think is interesting about A Clockwork Orange actually takes place in the last chapter, which was just not in the American version of the book because the American publisher thought that Americans wouldn't like it. And so it's not in the movie either. But that's, I think, the most nuanced part of it, where he just like gets, it's not that he like gets sick from doing violence anymore because he's been cured, just like from the movie. He gets like bored of it. And he's like, I think I want to maybe have a family and like just go to my job and not always be like smashing people's heads in. And he just like sort of ages out of the hooligan lifestyle.
And there's certain, and connecting to, you know, good and evil, I think there's certain, you read the book, I did not. I've read about it, and I've heard complaints of like that it's boring and it's like too happy of an ending. And the people who are like, just maybe they're just all Kubrick, so like whatever decision he made, they prefer.
I mean, it doesn't strike me as a happy ending. It strikes me as just like, I don't know, like at the end of that book about the Golden State Killer, Patton Oswalt's Michelle McNamara is like thinking about like, why did this guy not get caught? And part of it's because he seemed to have stopped. And when she tries to, she's like, so she's asking herself, like, why did he stop? And she's like, he just got too old to do it anymore.
I think with this, because Alex is still a young man when he stops, but there's certain crimes that I'm like, yeah, go back, be in society. You're a roughneck as a kid, whatever. All right, you smash some heads in, come on. The Vandals and the No Doubt basically wrote a song about you, that's fine. Now you can be in normal society. But the amount of rapes and murders we see and delight he gets them, I don't know if I'm like, yeah, you know what? Put that guy right back in because he just decided he's bored now.
I think that's the thing, though, that separates it, that makes it more interesting than, say, something like Shawshank, where you do have to deal with this stuff and it's all on the surface and it is all like pretty sentimental and manipulative. Both movies kind of are. But what Kubrick does that Shawshank doesn't is push Alex to way past the brink of you ever having any forgiveness for him, just to then, like, now you have to focus on what society and imprisonment and rehab is doing to him because he's so far gone. And it's not, I'm not arguing for the choice. I'm just saying it's ballsy.
And it is more interesting. It's not pat. But, and I think it is, the argument they're making the whole time is like, even in prison, they're mad that the guards aren't like, oh, what a model prisoner. They're like, this suck up. We should be mean to him because he's being a model prisoner. So it's like, okay, is prison for reform or is it a punishment? And can it be both? Because it feels like all the guards and the actual people running the prison think, no, reform has nothing to do with this. You're now in a world where we get to torture you because that's what you did in the outside world, which I don't think is a good society.
And that's the word you used, is that if we want to talk about how we're going to rehab, but we really just want to punish.
Right.
If we figure out a way to rehab, it will be torture. You know, like it will be worse than just being in a prison. You'll get out earlier, but everything that Alex was doing up until the Ludovico method was lying, was acting, was pretending to be reformed, while having the exact same daydreams I have, where instead of imagining I'm Jesus, I have that whip and I'm the villain of that movie. Not to compare myself to Alex, but
the movie really, when you're watching the movie, you keep waiting for him to become like afraid because he's like, now you've been caught by the cops. Now you're going into prison. Now you're going to be in prison for 14 years. And he just he's just not affected by what's happening to him. He's just completely disconnected from it. And he keeps kind of like what almost reads as like a positive demeanor about it, but is really like a form of, I guess, being a sociopath or a psychopath.
The only things he reacts to is his ego and pride are hurt that his droogs would dare betray him. But he doesn't care about his consequences. He's like, I can't believe they smashed a bottle in my head. That's what I do to them when they're bad. I'm the smart leader. Why would they do this?
But that's like the whole outlaw outlook, is that I will be the bravest and the toughest and the meanest and the manliest. And you can only do that until someone is more of that stuff than you are. And then you die. Right. And then that person does it until they die. It's watching Malcolm McDowell's performance here, which is kind of, I've seen this movie a lot since then. So that's sort of what I focused on the most. And this fucking weirdo, off and on screen, I am sure, He looks like a combination between young Terrence Stamp and Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And that little tweak of the handsome face, I think, is important here. But it's sort of hard to compare him. Is he closer to the Golden State Murderer, or is he closer to like a xenomorph? Like, is he just living out his instinct? And watching his lack of fear, and then watching his, even like post or pre the Ludovico treatment, like him eating food in the bed when he's getting fed by the doctor, that smile and that baby face, like he is horrifying, and he's incredible in this movie.
He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows he's a handsome boy. He knows he's charismatic, and I think it complicates it for the viewer, right? Because there are times you're like, Alex, my buddy. He's done some fucked up stuff, but Alex guy. Until you're in the scene, and you're like, wait. And yeah, I think Malcolm McDowell talked about how much he got to improvise in rehearsals and how him and Kubrick came up with this new version of Alex and the playfulness. And I think that elevates it so much.
I read an interview with Kubrick that said, how could you like figure out what the shots are going to be until you're on the set and the actors have rehearsed? And that's when that motherfucker figured out how to be Kubrick. Like, okay, we have 10 seconds to roll. Like, that is crazy.
One thing I was struck by watching this now as an older person is how obviously young Alex is, and how much you read that all the time in him, and that the movie plays with those contrasts really effectively. You know, like they drink milk, but then the milk has drugs in it.
His parents still wake him up to go to school in the morning.
That fucked me up. I did not remember his age, so I assumed early to mid-20s, and so when I was like, he is in a high... Oh, god damn.
Well, that's the other thing, being a middle-aged person watching it now, I think of all these movies, because I saw them when I was younger, I think of them as being about young people, and they are about young people. But I thought of, like, when I think of A Clockwork Orange, I think of, like, this animal youth. This like these wild children, and they're going to consume us all. But when I watch these movies, or when I watch like Akira, or when we watched Repo Man, or when we watch so many of these other movies about like lost youth, Breakfast Club,
Train Spotting,
I find myself now looking at the parents and being like, no, you're fucking up. You have let these kids become so ruined because you can't just give them boundaries, because you can't control yourself. And so you never taught them how to control themselves. And so now they're just a little bit further down the spiral. And when I was young, I never saw that. But now as a middle-aged person, I'm always looking at the other middle-aged people and being like, well, you're the fucking adults. Can you help out here?
Yeah, it's
Mr.
possible.
Deltoid, do your job.
It's possible that if Alex had been raised by any set of parents, no matter what, he would have, there was, some wires crossed in Alex specifically. But with these parents who aren't played as villainous. They're not even played as like as robotic as the parents in Repo Man.
No.
And then in Trainspotting, they're almost some of the parents are 3-dimensional, but there would have been signs that you are clearly doing as little as possible to raise your child, and you have been doing that for 17 years.
They're just feckless.
Like the dad says to the mom, like, I mean, where do you think he really like goes at night for his job? And she's like, well, he has to do like this and that, right? So you watch them construct a narrative that like they know he must be going out and doing ultra violence, but they want to just live in a fantasy world because they don't know how to handle him.
Yeah.
And what did they do when their son was in the most amount of trouble? Again, we are not defending Alex's actions, okay? But what did they do when their son was at the lowest? Is they went out and replaced him with someone who would protect and love them. Moved a similar age, similar size person right into their house, and although a little buffer, I think, like I don't think Alex should fight this guy. And said like, oh, I'll protect these people in the last 2 years have basically become my parents, and the parents are like, oh, he'll just love us unconditionally. That's what we want.
And it's like the idea that like the lodger says to him, like, you failed your parents, and like what a like inversion that is of responsibility there.
Especially because they get to love this guy who's fully formed and was raised by healthy parents, probably. So they don't have to parent. They just get the fun part of adult kids.
That would be awesome, though. Like at 10, maybe every 10 years, maybe less, every 6. Somebody comes at your door and says, "You've done an incredible job with this kid. They are so good. We're going to give them to somebody who has not had a chance to do that yet. Here is their awful child. All right, we got to take a break, but when we come back, it's Rushmore time.
Mount Rushmore!
All right, gentlemen, it is time for my favorite Rushmore of the season. It's Rushmore Babies, where we're not talking about who was a hit in 1971. We're talking about who dropped out the womb in 1971 to become iconic someday in the future. This is the oldest.
Who squished out the puss?
Who shot out the downstairs décolletage to become a superstar. This is the furthest. This is the oldest year we've ever done. So I'm interested to like find out people's ages. You know.
Yeah.
So there is a bonus. If you guys hit the right one, then you would get triple points. But I just want some suggestions before we start building this mountain. Mike, you're down a point right now, so you're going to go first.
Good to know. I think if somebody is in the Pop Filter Hall of Fame, yes, that maybe they get right onto the mountain. Yes. Alan Tudyk, born in 1971. Pop Filter Hall of Famer.
People, even listeners, may not know who that is. Do you want to give us like your 30 favorite roles or voice appearances of him?
Superhero show listeners will know him as the Resident Alien in Resident Alien. He plays K-number in Rogue One, the robot. He plays Gary,
and Andor.
the robot. And Andor, Gary, the robot in Superman. He was Wash in Serenity and Firefly. He was one of the redheads in A Knight's Tale, a movie that broke the barriers and broke the redhead Bechdel test and had 2 redheads in it.
Is it still though? Like if we were doing a Tudyk Rushmore, where all heads have 2 dicks, is it still the pirate from Dodgeball? Is that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Is that the
Yeah.
It's Pirate Steve. That's the most normcore probably for sure.
That sucks for him. Alan Tudyk, incredible choice, Mike. I mean, even with your cocky Pop Filter Hall of Fame, ever heard of it? You still might make it on there. Greg, what do you got?
1971, we were like, okay, probably the best like year for movies. Then we did the music. We're like, okay, probably the best year for music. 1971, best year for babies.
I think there might be like 5 or 6 Pop Filter Hall of Famers in here.
That's honestly when he said that, I was like, I'm like looking at this list. There are
Yeah.
multiple Pop Filter Hall of Famers, and I'm looking. There's also future Hall of Famers on this list. But I am going to go to the other Hall of Fame. She has been with us for so long, all the way back to like 1997 when she was on the Upright Citizens Brigade. She parked us and wrecked us for years. She's been kind of just like cruising on that and doing like whatever project she wants since then. Amy Poehler.
Winner of the initial Golden Globe for Best Podcast.
Yes, definitely. Just shows how easy it is to do it when you are one of the biggest names in comedy. She's had everybody on the show. Rachel Sennett. Have you guys? Do you know who that is? Amy Poehler, Pop Filter Hall of Famer.
Take that, Mike. Do you have a third Pop Filter Hall of Famer you'd like to throw out here? Or just
John
give me
Hamm,
on,
Pop
man.
Filter Hall of Famer? John Hamm.
John Hamm. Who's that?
He's the guy from the meme. He's in the club.
That is not what I wanted to say. I just felt pressured.
No one's making you say anything,
And
homie.
he's not in the Hall of Fame.
Or
But-
born in 1971. So great.
He's not?
That was a joke,
Google
Mike.
Hill
You are
lied.
derailing this episode right now.
You are.
You're being a Rushmore baby.
That's pretty good.
Mike, what is your pick?
Yeah, dude. Don't you have
Oh.
a list of names in front of you?
Yeah. I
Just
thought it was
say one
I'll
of
do
them.
I thought I did. I'll do a Ryan pick. Christina Applegate
Played Kelly Bundy.
played
Very
Kelly Bundy.
formative.
Woo!
Did she just
I
walk
was
in?
thinking. I was thinking that could be the bonus, but no, I guess it's not.
She
Very
did-
sadly, Christina Applegate has MS really bad, and she's like sort of like near the end of her life.
Yeah.
And she said, someone asked her how she's doing, and she's like, really bad. Like, I don't have a lot of hope for the future, and everything's awful. And that got out, and she had to like take it back and be like, Oh, that I didn't mean to be such a downer when I said no. It's okay. You can feel that way. This is a terrible thing that's happening. You don't have to protect us by being like, but also, there's a lot to look forward to.
Do you know what society loves is a near-death cancellation? Like, let's just get it in there.
She had to retract how terrible she feels about life.
I mean, like, Hall of Fame. Nope, that's a different segment. Rushmore is less so about what I'm about to say, but it's all about bridging generations. And to go from Married with Children to Anchorman to Up All Night with Will Arnett. Those are three of our most classic comedies. So,
The Sweetest Thing with Selma Blair, who also tragically had disease.
yeah.
And
What was going on that set?
Cameron Diaz.
Greg, who you got?
Very big star right now. If you can't get Alan Tudyk, maybe you can get Walter Goggins. He is the ghoul from Fallout. He's the ghoul from White Lotus. He plays baby Billy Ghoul on
The guy's a ghoul, okay?
The Righteous Gemstones. I listened to my mom, my wife, and my sister talk about how he's pretty hot as that ghoul from Fallout. And that was a very edifying
They are into
conversation.
no-nos and lots of teeth.
He's just got it's just confidence.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You can literally be like a brain in a jar on wheels, but if you just walk into the room like you own it, the ladies will respond. This guy has no nose or like top 8 layers of his skin, and still, just because he puts his chest out, people are like, hey, that guy's hot.
I will say that Walter Goggins sounds like a virgin CPA.
Oh, yeah.
Walton Goggins is the man you're talking about. But Polar's going on the list. Come on.
Come on.
Hell yeah.
Mike, who you got?
Bow, 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 bow. I'm Johnny Knoxville, and this is Mount Rushmore.
I mean, this is what's crazy about going to Google Hill and thinking about who was born in that year.
Yeah, dude.
It's a lot of random people.
There's a Jackass movie coming out this year. Sir, you're almost an AARP. Stop doing this to your body.
Have you guys heard the theory that the alt-right began because we used to look up to Jackass and that's how we got our energy out? And now it's like Joe Rogan and that dude with the black beanie?
You could just do Joe Rogan himself because he used to like have people jump off buildings.
Yeah.
And now he just has billionaires come in and get high with him.
And he's going right on the mountain, Mike.
Wow. Knoxville.
I mean, it's not a bonus, so I wouldn't get like super excited, but
no,
not a bonus.
that's all I'm choosing now is not who do I think is clutch, is who do I think is of Ryan clutch, which is riskier.
But do you guys see how awesome it is to host and manipulate? It's just
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
Greg, who you got?
So, Mike, did you say John Hamm?
You guys started screaming at me.
I feel like
and
you
said it didn't
teased it.
count,
And did we
and
say
I
it
got
didn't-
confused.
Well, Ryan, Mad Men, the star of multiple comedies, and now currently on the hit meme of him in the club with his eyes closed as the music washes over him.
Not tongue-in-cheek. Like, I think it's performative, but like he is feeling it.
He's feeling good. Probably, from what I can tell, that is a show about burglary. And so he's probably just burglarized. And I got to imagine that's a pretty intense high. And
Yeah,
he's
that's
feeling
the
that in the
rush.
club.
Well, Greg, you said your ham. Now scram. Because Tudyk is going on the board.
Oof.
Wait, I forget. Is this for all of society or for the 4 of us? Or the 3 of us?
This one got particularly confusing, Ryan. I kept telling myself like, no, it's just biggest, most iconic person, and then I'd see like Christina Applegate and just be like, whoa, hang on.
Mike, we're gonna go speed round. So, Mike, who you got?
The wickedly talented Adele Dazeem.
Oh damn! Oh my god!
Mike gets 3 points for calling out one of the most important moments of our lives, and Adele Dazeem goes right to the mountain.
Wow.
Greg, you can throw one more out if you want.
Ewan McGregor. Trade spotting. Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ewan McGregor, so important to all of us.
Your Rushmore Babies of 1971, which is for all of society, not just the 3 of us, is Amy Poehler, Johnny Knoxville, Alan Tudyk, and Adele Dazeem. When we come back, more about A Clockwork Orange. Gentlemen, A Clockwork Orange has been called a very dark comedy or a satire. I want to talk about what we think Kubrick is satirizing here. Does aestheticization, is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
Does the
It is now.
aestheticization of this movie neutralize in any way the violence and the critique of it, or does it actually intensify it? Mike?
I think it might intensify it because it's so, like, what we're used to seeing as violence in movies and TV is nothing like real violence. And
Do you mean
but
like
that's
John
what-
Wick?
John Wick, or yeah, I guess everything is not real. Like it's so rare. From John Wick to fucking like Cronenberg's Crash, like nobody's making violence that actually looks like real violence. Because people often get hit once and then they're down, or like hit their head when they trip and then they're down. Like it's just a lot easier to knock people out, and it's just a lot like sadder and less explosive in real life. And it does not do that, but by making it super violent, but kind of Looney Tunes style, especially the gang fight is just straight up Bugs versus Daffy between the Camo gang and the Droogs. And it is whoop, 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 whoop. It feels like sped up. It's super goobery. They're all just diving at each other all the time. And it does let you distance yourself, and then somebody dies or gets hit in the face with glass, and then it all comes rushing back.
Right. If we look at, I'm glad you brought up that scene first, because if you put aside all the rapes, which is very hard to do, and all of the terrorizing about how these people are basically characters from a horror movie that are in quote unquote real life,
Right.
that scene does make violence fun. We've got the slow motion, and it's just bad people beating the shit out of bad people. So who cares? You know, they're saving a woman from being raped just so they can get that done and then go rape other people. But again, and then if you put it next to the Droogs turning on Alex, it's one milk bottle smash that could have
Right.
blinded him, and he's out. Like he doesn't have that super milk charged superpower that other action heroes would normally seem to do or have.
Can I just say, I always love that device of you wait until there's other violence going on to betray someone and then do it. That's like, that happens a big time in Walking Dead, where Rick is waiting to deal with somebody and then there's just another fight breaks out and he just turns and shoots the guy right in the head, and then it's like, oh, he got hit with a spare shot.
Go ahead, put me on trial if you want. Yeah, we'll do a whole court case with all these zombies around.
I think that the movie is intentionally, Mike, like you were saying, I do think it's dealing with like cartoons, like,
Yes.
because that is how most of us get our violence as young people. We see it in the form of cartoons. And I think it's also like stylized, interesting violence, because that is like one of the layers of criticism that the movie itself is like, I think, intentionally committing the sin. I noticed watching it this time that like there's so much more nudity than I remembered.
Yeah.
And we often talk about how the movies from the 70s have like very normal looking people in them. And I noticed all the women are like exceptionally beautiful that are in
Built.
it.
A
Yeah,
lot of them.
exactly. And I only bring that up to say that like it's especially like it feels like he purposely went out and found extremely attractive women, so that even though it's like violent the way in which they are exposed, that like on some level it is like attractive. And I think that he's just like, that's complicating the picture in maybe not a very complex way, but I do think that is supposed to be a layer of it, that, you know, we kind of like the violence even in the thing commenting on violence.
It makes the viewer complicit.
Yeah, exactly. And it you know, it reminds us that like this world isn't that different than ours. There's such pains to draw like aesthetic differences between our world and that world. But honestly, like I was thinking about it, like gangs of rich kids that go out and do consequence-free violence, maybe not to the tune of like actually murdering people, but I don't know, are there unchecked violent youth gangs to some degree now? So it's not that dramatically different. And so it reminds us that like we want to act like we're very separated from the kind of world this shows, but we're actually just a couple degrees away.
It's important to note too that again we're doing 1971, And that question of, aren't you, the audience, a little bit at fault here, has been asked 1 billion times since then.
Yeah.
So, and we can name a ton of movies. So does that take you back and be like, well, it was probably a really good question back then?
Again, I think it's something.
Shut up, Kubrick.
Yeah. The answer is yes. What do you want from us?
I just think that it's not a movie that hides under layers of obscurity. I think that it's kind of all there on the surface. Again, maybe because it's about a world that isn't very deep, that is just like a shallow pool. And so it itself mirrors that.
Mm-hmm. We have talked about I think we decided 2 other Kubrick movies on this show. One winning movie of the year twice for the same year. It got the crown and it defended its crown for 1999. And then Barry Lyndon, which it didn't win, but we all remember very fondly. And
yeah, there are some movies
talked about
yes
films, yeah,
that really stick out as if they had won or they're adjunct victories in a way.
With both of those movies, we can remember these iconic scenes, but if you sit down and watch them, there are some similarities in Clockwork in the amount of time where Kubrick's just oh, I got this. I don't need anything to happen. So, we've talked about Kubrick's meticulous painting shots. How does that style work in a story about chaotic thugs? Mike, does that make it ring truer, make it feel more Kubrickian, or does it is it anomalous and doesn't work?
No, you know what? It felt Kubrickian. It felt like Wes Anderson. There's no way Wes Anderson doesn't fucking love Kubrick. He just tweeified the symmetry. Uh-huh. But also when they're posing in the bar and it's the slow and you realize Alex is telling us this story the whole time. And it's one of the times narration throughout the movie did not drive me nuts because McDowell rules and it helps build the world so well with all this.
It's also how you get on the side of Alex.
Oh, for sure, because it's his. But so anytime they're looking sick and nobody's dealing with them while they just pose for 8 straight minutes while the camera's slowly it's because this is what they think they look like. But really, there's boogies coming out. They're farting on each other. They're slapping each other's hats off. There's no way they looked as dope as they do in that opening shot.
Which, that's the case for every group of teenage boys.
Yes.
That sums it up right there. Greg, did the stretches where there was not action, were you happy? Thank you for the break, and you were able to watch Kubrick, or was what the fuck are we doing here?
I guess I felt like it was a big choice. Early in the beginning of the show, I said I was interested in some of the choices that were made for this movie. One of the choices is to have a kind of counterpoint to the intense violence be long periods of very slow, almost boring scenes. Also, the number one example here is he's getting checked into prison. Mm-hmm. It's 8 minutes of him turning in his personal effects, being inspected for venereal diseases. You, as the viewer, you really feel how much time is spent in doing that, and it made me think, okay, well then this is obviously we can't abide boredom. And so we feel ourselves be bored at these moments in the movie. And it's well, then what do you want? Is any stimulation preferable to this? And you feel yourself being yeah, I wish something would happen. And that thing is I always say about Spider-Man. We love Spider-Man, but we want Spider-Man to suffer. We can't just have Spider-Man. We need the weight of the world crushing him to make him interesting to us. And this movie gives us long periods of time to really reflect on you want that, right? You don't want to just be here watching him fill out paperwork, right? You want the entertainment. You don't want the boredom.
I get what you're saying, but I loved that scene. Mm-hmm. Because I think that's where it shows him around normal people for the first time for an extended period and being oh, he's fucking with them. He is kind of Jim Halperting them. He's finding where the edges are. But
it's important to know that they don't react.
No, they don't react. But he's I'm charming to me, fuckers.
Right.
And he's gonna do it for him. And you're oh yeah, I think he's gonna do fine in jail for better or worse because he thinks he's funny.
Can you
know what
imagine
it is?
Being
he
charming
knows
to only to
we're
one
there.
person, and it's yourself.
But that's what I was just that's what I was just thinking, Ryan. He knows we're there. He has a weird ability to, because who is he talking to? Who is he writing to? There's no that's never like disclosed in it. Like, and then this will be my diary, my last entry in the diary before I send it off to the newspaper. So it's like he imagines someone is listening to all his bullshit. And he's right, because we're listening to every part of it. And that's probably getting him through those times in the prison, right? Because he knows, hey, I have like hundreds and thousands and millions of people here watching me do all this stuff, and they're all entertained by my little smirks. And also, great moment where he takes off his underwear and there's something on the table in front of his dick, and then they suddenly grab the thing and you just see the full stock of his penis.
It's like, what if somebody came into that Austin Powers scene and just batted those melons away
Yeah,
from his
dude,
balls?
exactly.
But yeah, like, I think that's a super important point about Alex as this, like, not omniscient, but some sort of narrator that, like, knows that we're getting off on it. It gives Kubrick a scapegoat of, like, it's not me, it's Alex, baby. It's Alex and you. And that's why we get that scene that I was talking about where he's reading the Bible and the chaplain's like, oh, what a good little boy. And then we cut to his imagination. And it's like one of the corniest filmed movies you've ever seen. Yes. Like, this is Kubrick going back to when he directed Spartacus, but like with a fifth of the budget. And he thinks in the same way I do. Like, I also sort of daydream in corny movies where I'm at the center,
He even refers to himself as your narrator.
Right.
Right? So, like, he's got this weird knowledge of what's going on.
And when he calls himself Alex DeLarge, I think I read that on the prison paperwork, you can see Alex Burgess.
Ah.
Right.
And nobody else knows his last name. We don't know his last name except for what he calls us, which is, another way of saying Alex the Great. Let's talk about the production style. And we've known enough about Kubrick to know that he basically treats everyone on the set as if he was one of the imprisoners or the scientists that are torturing Alex, not like he doesn't act like Alex. This is his idea of a future. We're not sure when. They say it's London, but in the future there's like attractive women. So I'm not sure it is London, but the colors, the wild fashions, the claustrophobic interiors. We can't start playing the game that Mike played or Mike started of like, we know that Wes Anderson has seen this. Because you can't do that with a Kubrick movie, right? From that prison scene, we know that Terry Gilliam has seen this. We know that every director has seen
Dude,
this.
So much Brazil in this movie. Yeah.
We know Danny Boyle. Like, this is some sort of weird, not sequel, but follow-up with Trainspotting to A Clockwork Orange. But the combined effect of all of that stuff, how does that change the movie from someone who wasn't interested in this kind of thing?
I'll tell you one thing I noticed is, you don't think about things like establishing shots as a viewer until you're not given them anymore. And you realize you're confused, like, where are these interiors? And none of the interiors in this movie make any sense. Like, every time there's a scene staged, like when he gets put into jail, the like delinquency officer comes into this like jailhouse, but it's like a utility closet. And then there's like two other little closets off of that. And it like, is that the whole jail? Or when you see his apartment building, all you see is this one like little hallway of it. Or the milk bar it seems to just be like a hallway. It's extremely small. And without the establishing shots, you're like, where are these places? How do you get into them? They don't make any sense. And you begin to feel disconnected, I think, in a way that the movie really wants you to.
Which is something
What's
I see
interesting about that.
Go ahead, Mike.
Greg, those three sets you said, those are the only three sets they built for this movie.
Oh, wow.
So it's interesting that is what called out to you, because McDowell in like interview that came out in 1971 that's still on YouTube talked about that. He's like, yeah, everything was real except these three places. And yeah, those are the most unsettling places.
The thing that really stuck out to me this time too, and I didn't know this while watching, I knew it reading later, is the amount of Steadicam and handheld cam that was actually held by Kubrick, which I just don't think was happening then, and I don't think is happening now. Like, outside of maybe Soderbergh, maybe I'm talking out my ass here, but like, you find other people to hold that heavy thing. And so you have the super iconic, unless you're Mike as a teenager, but Mike now, you have the super iconic pulling back from them at the milk bar in their headspace of like what cool people look like. But also just like Alex returning to home after getting out of prison. And there's just a guy. It's like almost like we're watching Cops or something. There's just a guy holding the camera on him. And then he runs out of room in the hallway, and then he goes into another room and keeps filming. And that is as striking as the very planned, big, huge music productions, like the mix of those two things make you feel like you're in as weird of a place as it does where we don't know where we are or when we are.
And in that shot, he walks in and he's whistling the score to the movie. Mm-hmm. So there's like you have all these ways in which the movie is like wearing down the veil that separates you from its unreality, and you like even if you don't notice any single one of these, the totality. And the other thing is the claustrophobia, right, which you mentioned, but like so many of this the sets are very small. They're like not fit to purpose, especially for like shooting in them, and you just like that cramped feeling you just become very aware of. Like the apartment that he lives in with his parents, extremely small, everything very, very and close
thin.
Together.
Like, yeah, it's like a really long motorhome almost.
It like speaks of like extremely dense population, like or something like that.
Before we get out of here, we still give out awards for musical moment, right? So I don't want to step anything later, but the music is such a big choice, and it's hard now in 2026 to be like, is it corny and obvious, or has it just been copied so many times to juxtapose this gorgeous music with this awful shit? But how did it strike you guys this time? And I can't ask you for a favorite scene, but does it affect you? Did it have an effect on you?
Oh yeah, especially the interplay between the classical music done with the Moog synthesizer by Wendy Carlos, who's a fucking genius, trans woman who helped invent the Moog and then used it to make incredible music. But there's this interplay between the really electronic classical music and then the actual like classical music is played by an orchestra, and that back and forth is very interesting because there's often these like feelings of softness and harshness, and there is something like kind of harsh about that electronic sound. It's very compelling and very interesting, but it is like almost in a sense it's like it has a violent sound itself in a way. I mean, I watched this video where Wendy Carlos is like showing how the Moog makes its bass sounds that put together create the synthesized sound, and all the bass sounds are like these squeals that sound really awful, but if you modulate them in the right way they sound like music. And so that like hard edge to it within the like the strings and the brass and everything, I thought that was very interesting.
What did they do with Alex other than take this ugly person and try to modulate him in the right way? Did they succeed?
There you go, take all his instincts and turn them, try to turn them into positives.
And I think for the sometime in the distant future often doesn't work when we're watching something from 50 years ago.
Yeah.
But with Anthony Burgess in the book itself, and then so obviously in the movie again with the weird slang, he said he didn't want to use normal slang because that would set it in time. And so the weird slang and then the Moogification of these classical songs, all of it helps make it feel really timeless, and you can just keep watching it. You're not just like, that cheesy 1950 way.
And you know what the movie captures really well without ever giving in to overdoing it, I think, is the slang. Yeah. There's a lot more slang in the book, but in the movie, the way it's utilized, it's like listening to a great production of Shakespeare. You always know what everybody's saying. Even if you were to stop and say any one part, you couldn't quite tell you how it lines up. But like you always know what the words are. And by the end of the movie, he doesn't have to give you pointed uses of them anymore. You just know Gulliver means head, you know?
I wonder if that's why I thought I came up with that Terrence Stamp analogy with Malcolm McDowell, because the limey, like they are using like that double rhyme crazy Cockney that we heard from that movie. We have to take a break because if we don't, how would we ever do trivia? Gentlemen, it's time for trivia. Mike, you have a slim 2-point lead, so it's time to put the ball down and shoot it in the hoop with your feet. We know the rules of trivia. I will ask a question. When I'm done asking it, say your name. That's how you buzz in. If you say your name, if you're some sort of Destiny's Child before I am done with the question, then the other person gets as much time as they want, even if it's an hour to answer the question. And they can ask me any question they want about the answer, and I will have to answer it.
I kind of want to give Greg an hour just to see what this episode turns into.
Filibuster.
Question the first. Of all of Malcolm McDowell's injuries on the set, which body part was injured the most?
Greg.
Yes. Greg?
His eyeballs?
I'll take it. Corneas.
Oh my God.
Horrifying.
Yeah. They said the actor who was dripping the water was a doctor, and still super fucked up. What song should have Alex sang in the bathtub near the end of the movie?
Mike?
Yes, Mike.
The Rubber Ducky song by Ernie from the Sesame Street?
I need more. I need less specific.
Rubber Ducky.
Greg.
Yes, Greg.
Rubber Ducky, you're the one?
No, less specific than that. Any other song other than Singing in the Rain.
Oh, yeah.
Number 3. How long was the sped up sex scene in real time?
Greg.
Greg.
15 minutes.
Mike.
27 minutes.
28 minutes. I'm going to give it to Mike.
Damn.
The actor who played Julian, Mr. Alexander's wheelchair carrier, played what movie villain just 6 years later? Mike.
Jaws. From Bond, not from the movie Jaws.
Incorrect. Greg?
Jaws from Jaws 2.
1977, he played Darth Vader. The soundtrack to what film is shown at the record store Alex browses at?
Greg.
Greg?
2001: A Space Odyssey.
2001. And I do want to get into, I don't think we've talked about 2001 enough. Like, this movie is the exact opposite and total exact same thing as 2001 in so many ways.
That is so emblematic of this movie, Ryan, because it is right in the front. You can't help but see it, but still when you notice it, you're like, oh, Easter egg.
And look, guys like us, we just get a little bobo for that. The Droog uniform is in part based on the uniform of what sport?
Mike.
No.
Fencing.
Greg. Sumo.
No. Malcolm McDowell came to rehearsals in his cricket uniform, and Kubrick was like, leave it. I love it.
Kubrick didn't plan anything.
I know, dude. He's a lazy bum. What filmmaking technique did DP John Alcott dabble with in Clockwork that he perfected with Barry Lyndon?
Greg.
Just
using ambient light.
Yeah, natural light. And then, so there's some fake light in this, way less than almost any other movie at the time. But with the BL, they were like, let's do it all, baby. Idiots. Alcott was the DP of 2 80s movies, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, and Secret of the Lost Legend. What are the missing first words of each of these titles? I'll read them again. Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, and Secret of the Lost Legend.
Mike.
You
Tarzan.
think the movie's called Tarzan, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes? Okay, what's your other one?
Yes, I do.
Greg. The.
Incorrect. It's Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, and Baby, Secret of the Lost Legend. A Clockwork Orange is one of 2 movies to be nominated for Best Picture with an X rating at the time of release. What is the other one?
Greg.
Midnight
Cowboy.
That is correct. Which 2 Marvel characters recently watched Midnight Cowboy?
Greg.
Mike.
I don't know why you wouldn't just say the K in your name. Greg?
Wonder Man and Trevor Slattery.
Yeah, I'll take it. Because it's correct. I have no choice.
I'm duty bound.
Which 1971 Movie of the Year contender's director and star almost made A Clockwork Orange together? This is a movie that we have already covered.
I'm sorry, could you say it again?
Which 1971 Movie of the Year contender's director and star almost made A Clockwork Orange together? We're talking like months before Kubrick signed on.
Mike. The director of Clute and Donald Sutherland.
God damn, that would have been great. Incorrect. Just Alex always in the corner being like, I don't know. What are we going to do? Greg, you have a guess?
The director of Harold and Maude and Bud Court.
Again, I want to see all these movies.
All of these.
It's The Devils, Ken Russell, and Oliver Reed.
That makes more sense.
Which character did Stanley Kubrick spend the most time with when they were modeling their costume?
Greg.
Greg.
Alex.
Nope. Somebody was
It
more.
would be so funny if that were the answer.
Mike.
Mike?
Alex's mom?
Nope. It was the nude woman on stage for the demonstration. He kept saying, let's try a different color underwear. Let's try a different style of underwear.
I thought that's what it was, and then I was like, if this is not the answer, it's going to be so distasteful.
One of the reasons Malcolm McDowell was cast was because he could do what on cue?
Greg.
Greg.
Dance.
Nope. Everyone can do that, Greg.
Nobody else
Mike?
can. Mike. Cry?
Burp. It's because he was so good at being about to be throwing up. What 1980s David Cronenberg movie did Andy Warhol call the Clockwork Orange of the 80s? Give you a hint?
Yes,
Greg.
Starts with a V. What?
Videodrome.
Videodrome is correct. Nice. A Clockwork Orange was Kubrick's first movie with which studio, which proceeded to distribute the rest of his films?
Greg.
Greg.
Warner Brothers.
Warner Brothers is correct.
Serververse, baby.
We already gave that answer away.
It's helping you.
Which sister was not involved in the Warner Brothers decision to release this film?
Mike.
Greg.
Mike.
Dot.
Dot is correct.
That's the only one that mattered.
In the 86th episode of the first season of Animaniacs, the trio parody which scene of A Clockwork Orange?
Greg.
Greg.
The eyes pried open.
It's kind of, even though that's disgusting, kind of the only one they can. Yakko and Dot force Wacko to keep his eyes open using metal clamps. Greg gets the point.
That is the worst part of this movie, and you can't see anything about this movie without seeing that.
Yeah.
Like if you go to the IMDb page, if you go to the Wikipedia page, that you're gonna have to look at that image.
Should be called Ouchie IMDb. A Clockwork Orange is set in England. How many countries does Yakko name before he gets to England in the song Yakko's World?
Greg.
Greg.
32.
Closest gets the point, Mike.
Okay, Mike.
Mike.
47.
Did you just play the song in the background?
Yeah.
He just thought of the words to it in his head.
How much
Mike
was it?
Mike gets the point. It's 74.
Oof.
In episode 1 of
a lot of
Pinky,
countries.
Elmira, and the Brain, Brain comments, "Let's hope Elmira never rents a Clockwork Orange," after witnessing her recreation of what 1998 film?
Greg.
Stop looking things up, Mike. Greg.
You can see
The Mask.
Okay. 95.
Mask was-
Piece of shit. Mike.
Sorry.
98 would have been Blade.
Titanic. Number 20. They Might Be Giants could be a way of describing Alex and his droogs. What are the two songs that They Might Be Giants did music videos for on Tiny Toon Adventures?
Mike.
Mike.
Particle Man.
Or maybe.
And Birdhouse in Your Soul.
Incorrect.
Oh, Greg.
Greg.
Istanbul, not Constantinople,
And?
and Triangle Man, or Particle Man.
But, yeah. Okay. Greg gets the point.
Sorry.
We don't each get half?
Greg has taken a 4-point lead.
I got Particle Man.
Now it's 5. And now it's a 5-point lead. Because Mike is nothing but a part of a man. When we come back, more on A Clockwork Orange. We talked about the violence and what Kubrick's message is. Let's talk about what his message might be with another thing. Is the film critiquing misogyny or is it reproducing it? Greg, I'll go to you.
It can be both, right? It feels like it's kind of doing both of those things. I mean, again, like what character is a woman and has like interiority, or not that like a lot of the characters in this movie seem to have rich inner lives or anything like that, but the women are the victims of sex crimes almost exclusively. There's his mom, and then there's one of the doctor ladies is a woman. Besides that, it's like we just see them having their clothes ripped off and being like hauled off to be sexually assaulted. So again, I think like Kubrick is very intentionally committing the sin that he's commenting on and then doing that in such a way where we both notice that he's doing that, but then we're still like, but hey, look at these naked ladies, right? Like, and so there's like, yeah, like we're completely wrapped up in it and guilty of it, and so it's very hard to feel like separated from it and then judge it because we can feel its effect on us.
I watched this movie while writing that trivia, and the whole time I was like, hello, nurse. That is... Mike, do you think that the commentary is strong here from Kubrick?
I guess kind of like what we've been saying, that so much of this movie is surface level, and there's not... I don't know what you could point to that proves that there's a lot of thought behind it. Because even the scene that stands out because it's the one non-violent sex scene, Alex rolls in looking like pimp and just picks up two young girls hit like his age at the record shop by licking their popsicles and saying, your record system probably sucks. Come listen to mine.
That's not a euphemism, by the way. They had popsicles in their hand.
That's an interesting choice the movie makes because that is different than the book. He drugs those girls in the book.
Also, I didn't read the book, but I read about the book. And in the book, he is 15 and they are 10.
Yeah. And so it's like this, like there's a decision here to sort of like one part of it might have been, hey, this guy is really attractive. Let's show maybe, because I do feel like Alex is deeply informed by the fact that he's a very attractive young man. And part of how I come away with that impression is he picks up these two girls in the record shop and he just seems very good at picking up women. And it seems like he knows what his qualities are and he knows how to like seal the deal. And then in no uncertain terms, the way the movie constructs it, they go back and have consensual sex as a group.
Again and again and again.
Yeah. And it's actually, honestly, it's kind of endearing and cute. There's a part where one of the girls gets up and gets totally dressed and he gets up and then very playfully undresses her again. He seems like it starts off, he looks like a kid in a candy store. And at the end of this sex scene, that's very much the impression you get. And so like that human element, like something to celebrate in him, something that is not violence, is actually a really interesting choice, I feel like, in the movie.
And it complicates certainly the 70s 19 version or 19 view of a rapist, and to the modern day of like incel. There's no way it's all they can get. But no. He does this for fun, and then because it's a power thing and not related to sex in any way, shape, or form, that is a separate thing. They're different itches he is scratching.
Yeah.
I think that the scene is complicated and not talked about enough because one, we just want our heroes to be able to fight or fuck. That's like the whole Adam Sandler thing, is that he always played a character that could never fuck, although that he always did by the end. So he was just fighting all the time, and that's how we rooted for him.
Taking off his skate and trying to stab somebody with it.
Yeah. And so like, that's okay. Well, we can look, even though he's an imbecile, we can look up to him. Right. And so the fact that Alex walks in and gets these two girls, and then all of the rape scenes are, we don't see actual rape, I don't think, but they are slow and played out like it's a horror movie, like it's a suspense movie. But then when it's fun and consensual, it's sped up as fast as possible. It's also the only scene where, like, if you call this a comedy, this is the only scene that's like outwardly funny. Like, not like you gotta laugh, but instead like this is actually funny. Like, to speed it up, and it's almost like a scene from a Benny Hill episode to the William Tell overture. It's like this. Finally, can we just enjoy ourselves? This isn't boring or disgusting.
And the three of them are completely naked, and they're in all sorts of weird positions. It never really looks like actual sex. It looks very much like people pantomiming something that's going to be sped up. But it's this weird, I don't know, like it almost reminds me of analogous to how he feels about Beethoven. There is something about Alex's love of Beethoven that feels like that we could build on that. Starting with his fact that he loves Beethoven, we could resurrect the humanity in him. And in the movie, very much his sexuality in this moment seems like the same thing. Like, there is some goodness here. He feels passion, and he feels like something life affirming here. But the movie doesn't sit on that very long. It feels almost like a skit in the middle of the movie, actually. Like, because it's not digested in any other way or really much tied to anything else that happens. It's like just an interlude.
It's speed around time. Gentlemen, Jesus has multiple cameos, while the only decent person is a chaplain. What is the movie's relationship with religion? Like, is this the most forced thing?
I wouldn't say forced, but I do think it's interesting the way Jesus is always taken out of context in this movie, except for when the chaplain talks about him. Like, the first thing you see is like all the Jesus is literally the Jesus removed from the cross that he's got, or removed from the crucifix, and they look like is offensive, but it looks like they look like a conga line.
Yeah, the kick line, like the Rockettes.
Yeah, and so I do think that there's a way in which he is just underlining how far religion has fallen from its own central tenets, that like the Jesuses in a conga line are as far removed from Jesus as like a Church of England meeting on an average Sunday probably is, right?
And the chaplain is like the one good person, but he's also a fucking fool. Like, everybody's like, this kid is playing you, and he's just like, nah, he's the best.
Glug glug glug. The scene with the Jesus Rockettes is one of my favorites in the movie because he is staring all four of those Jesuses down while he jerks off. And then we go into his brain, and inside of his brain are clips of him as like a vampire, just like quick little,
dude.
Like Alex is like, and then we also see scary scenes from movies, but one of them is like a super low budge, people standing below a mountain, and then a bunch of rocks crush them. Like, oh God, Alex, you're crazy.
To me, it seems like this is the BBC bullshit that he has seen, you know? So it's like the same thing as the cartoon violence earlier. It's like he doesn't have very sophisticated references.
Yeah, that's it. And then like, so what else? Man, once this guy gets a hold of porn, his mind is going to be blown.
Wait.
Final speed round.
I didn't have to do any of that stuff.
Loved seeing these guys in Space Jam: A New Legacy. Agree for points.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
man. When you look over and you see the Droogs and you're like, wow, it's all happening here.
That's it. When we come back, awards and recs. A Clockwork Orange was nominated for 4 Oscars: picture, director, screenplay, and editing. Those are biggies, but it won 0. What's more surprising, that it won 0 or was nominated for 4?
It won 0.
Yeah.
Those are equally non-surprising to me. It seems like the kind of movie that would pick up some important nominations so that like everyone could be like, okay, we're done with that one, and then just move on from there.
I'm starting to formulate my theories for the year for our big finale, and I think that we're sort of at a point where like you have to be a movie like this in order to get noticed. And I don't know if that's because of the times or if that's because of the studio sort of letting go of more stuff. Like, we don't have to, not every movie has to be Dr. Dolittle, right, at this point. But like Clockwork Orange sort of kicks off the back half of our season that includes French Connection and Straw Dogs, and I sort of think we're about to enter into this time of like, if your hero, if your protagonist is good at all, then it's not going to be a good movie. So it is surprising to me that the Academy Awards were with it. You know, usually this happens 10 years after it becomes a real trend. Let's get to musical moment. Mike, this movie has music. It has a little bit of the Ludwig van. What did you pick?
Ludwig van. It has so much, but mine is not Ludwig van. It is not the Moogification of anything. It is what originally started out as improvising Malcolm McDowell's Sing in the Rain while kicking the shit out of that guy's ribs.
He fucked that guy up. So this is the first and not the bathtub one where...
No.
You just wish he had a different song stuck in his... Well, no, you don't. I don't. I'm glad that he got
Well, yeah, we want him to be caught, right?
Greg, what do you think?
I am going to very much lean on the Moog here. And I had 2 choices. One was the version of Ode to Joy when he's shopping in the record store. And also, wow, maybe we'll hear about that in the fashion moment. But I'm going to go with the opening to this movie, though. Like, having seen this movie a lot, there's maybe a way in which I like forgot how striking some of it is, but the very opening, the sounds and the images at the very opening, like sear themselves into you, and like you were so prepared for the experience. So I'm going to go with just the it's called The Funeral of Queen Mary march, and it's specifically Wendy Carlos's version of it. By the time the Moog synthesizer hits, you're just like, the transporting has taken place, and then it opens up and you see his face, and it's like, okay, you're ready to go.
So we're talking about like the first note of the movie and so on.
Basically, the song, yeah, from the
song's
the
called
opening.
"Hey Bitch, You're Watching a Movie Now."
Yeah, dude, it's called Movie Time. I mean, just imagine you go sit in a theater and you see like 2 title cards, and then that hits, and like the machine that makes that music has just been invented, and one of the inventors wrote this song for it. Like, that would fuck me up hardcore.
It's like the guy who invented the guitar that has flames coming out of it from Fury Road is now making movie scores.
I think he could.
Greg gets the point. That is, I mean, you just rock to your balls, and like now you're set for the rest of the movie. So, Greg, fashion choice. You have hinted towards this in previous segments of it was this one. What do you think?
That was but a feint, Ryan. I thought about this a lot because there are big fashion choices made in this, some that are ridiculous, some that are good. Ultimately, what I've landed on is the fake lashes on just the one eye. Alex just has fake lashes on his right eye. And I was thinking like of all the, I didn't want to just say like the way the Droogs look, but his very particular affectation of those fake lashes just on the one eye. We didn't get to talk much about like how there is gender confusion in some of this, and they all have some female like makeup on, and his
like
are these big lashes, a little bit like Kiss. But that's what really stuck with me. And you see sometimes like just those lashes like standing in for A Clockwork Orange.
And it's weird. Maybe I watched a shitty version, but like they seem to have struck out more since the movie than in the movie. Like if you watch, say, young 10-year-old Bart Simpson dressed as this for Halloween, the eyelashes on the one eye are more prominent than I think they are on Alex. Mike, what do you got?
It's been hinted at. It's Alex's day out outfit. This crushed velveteen Austin Powers looking, and like
huge collar,
huge
Cane.
collar. Like it so much. Like no matter what he does is an affectation, but it feels like he knows how society works and scan it. Be like, to scare people, I dress like this, like a cricket guy, I guess, with a bowler hat, and gender bend a little to like pick up ladies. Like he's peacocking. He is mystery.
Yeah.
He's doing the pickup artist shit way before anybody.
And apparently it works in movies, not in real life. Any gentlemen that are listening to this, what's hard to know because we weren't alive then is like, is this Alex or is this Kubrick or the costume designer doing what is popular at the time, making fun of what's popular in the time? You know, like I can see it as that second one, but in London, 71 London, maybe this was all the rage. Mike, you get the point for sure. Let's go to Cringe. A Clockwork Orange Cringe Christmas, which is a animated feature I'm working on right now. Mike, what do you think?
I can't do eye stuff, man. I can't do it. I can't have things near my eyes. I don't like eye drops. And so watching it and realizing, I don't think I realized it when I first saw this movie, that they just actually did this to Malcolm McDowell. I just was on the verge of vomiting that whole very long sequence.
I thought that eye stuff was my only thing. And then I got to the halfway point of season 1 of The Pit last night.
Uh-huh.
And a guy comes in with half or like the top of his middle finger gone, and it's just a bone sticking out. And the doctors are like, well, we got to sand it down. And I almost threw up everywhere.
Just hearing that, yeah.
Oh, God. And then the noise that it makes. The Pit.
Rules.
That's a bad show, Mike. It's a bad show.
I've eaten too many breakfast burritos while watching that show.
Greg, what is the cringiest moment of A Clockwork Orange?
I fucking love the 2 episodes of The Pit that I've seen, but I'm not watching any more of it. It's
I
so
did my
good.
service for best of the year.
Yeah. I mean, this movie features little eye hooks, dude. I don't know, this is, except for, with apologies maybe to Salvador Dali, the worst thing ever done to eyes on film. And you can't like escape it, you know? In a way, it's almost like he thought, I have to put something in this that's so bad that everybody forgets that there's like 4 violent rapes in this movie. And again, you can't like do an image search for Clockwork Orange, a movie that is so like aesthetically pleasing, without seeing a million eye hook things. Last thing I'll say about it, I had LASIK eye surgery, and you can't blink in the middle of that. Guess how they keep you from blinking? I'll take my answer off the air.
And you have to watch awful scenes of like Hitler the entire time?
Yeah, I mean, my guy did that, but I don't know if that's like necessary.
You did come back different after LASIK.
I also saw a video the other night where you can't see them, but the doctor knew that there was on the bottom eyelid a ton of tiny zits. And so they put their finger on either side of the bottom eyelid and squeezed, and just volcanoes of pus came out of the bottom eyelid. So that's my cringiest moment of this movie. But
Why would you tell us that?
Yeah.
I'm going to give that one to Mike. He was first. Let's go to... You know what? Let's go to Rex before we get to the two biggies. I'll go first. Malcolm McDowell. I was trying to think, like, important person in my life. I've seen a million things. But what other than this? That's a hard question to ask or answer. Like, what is he famous for? I know that before A Clockwork Orange, he was in a bunch of British, like, very simple Lindsay Anderson movies. And Kubrick watched those, and that's how he got this job. But since then, he has been sort of relegated to bad guy roles and crappy stuff.
I feel like weird genre movies.
Yeah.
Star Trek Generations, baby.
And so I am going to go with my second favorite Malcolm McDowell performance, which is he is the bad guy in the film Tank Girl. Guys, I watched a bunch of scenes from Tank Girl this week. I can't imagine ever watching this entire movie again, which is a weird thing to recommend from me, if that's the case. But he is doing I think he became sort of like a British Dennis Hopper. Like, I need the money. I'm going to give it my all. Here we go. And Tank Girl, Lori Petty, young Naomi Watts as Jet Girl, I want to say. Just completely forgotten to time. Tank Girl is gone from everybody's blockbuster in their brains, and let's bring it back. Greg, what's your rec?
Part of what this movie asks, or I guess mostly what it asks in a very loud way, is can you use violence to end violence? That is also the question at the heart of It Was Just an Accident, an Iranian movie that we
did not have enough time to talk about.
We did not. Yeah, honestly, when that episode wrapped, I was like, holy shit, we didn't say enough about It Was Just an Accident. A movie secretly filmed in Iran about how awful the Iranian regime is. That is extremely big balls territory. It is such a thrilling movie. It is so interesting, but it asks the central question, like, okay, you were the victim of violence. What do you like? And you have the chance to use violence to perhaps like get past what happened to you. But is that going to get you past what happened to you? Like, when will it end? When will it ever end? And all those are interesting reasons. But honestly, It Was Just an Accident is a very compelling, thrilling movie that never stops being entertaining. And of all the movies we saw for the end of the year stuff, I feel like this was the one that was as unexpected and exciting. I had no idea going into it what it was going to be about. If I were you, I would try to do that same thing, and it's very interesting.
A better film than Sinners. Would that movie have been better if, like, 3/4 of the way through, there was a montage of the main character dressing like a droog, like putting the eyeliner on, like Shoshana in Inglourious Bastards? But instead, 3/4 of the way through that movie, he stops his whole story to help a pregnant woman get to a hospital. It's a fucking crazy movie.
And that's when I learned that in Iran, the nurse that helps deliver the baby is going to expect a tip.
Yeah.
Yeah, we complain about tipping culture here. It's not as bad.
That's it. He's like, can I do credit card? And she's like, yeah, sure.
For this baby that is not mine from this woman that's a stranger. I wonder if he ever went back and found that lady and asked for the money back. Mike,
actually, I'm going to need that back.
Yeah. Keep the baby.
Two movies kept popping up in my head throughout watching this. The first one, it's super stylized. The sex stuff and violence stuff is not as extreme as Clockwork Orange, but it's incredibly unsettling. And very much more puts it, no, this is the parents' fault because they don't let their kids outside of these walls. So their kids are killing cats and doing weird shit together and don't know what reality is. It's Dogtooth, Yorgos Lanthimos' like breakout film. And I think every 8 movies I recommend it because I think about that movie all the time.
But that's okay because you're the only person who's like, that wasn't even a hard watch. I fucking loved every second of that.
Yeah, you're the only person I've ever heard recommend that movie. You recommend it a lot, but like honestly, most people are like, "Oh yeah, Dogtooth."
I
You see an old lady
I
at
don't-
Starbucks, and you're like, "Have you seen Dogtooth, ma'am?"
Dogtooth. Maybe I've said this on there. I guessed it on another movie show and made them watch it, and they just got real mad at me. The other one I kept thinking of is two very polite boys dressed in all white show up at a stranger's house and then ramp up the torture. It's Funny Games. Pick your poison. Which version do you want to watch? But
When I was asking about how many times has this question that Kubrick's asking in this movie been asked since then, Haneke definitely came up, and I think that for him to make Funny Games is like in his own language was one thing, and then for him to remake it even broader and dumber in English, that's a choice. Directors make choices. But I am going to give that one to Greg because the guy made it in the country he is banned from and currently can't go back.
He says he's going back.
Yeah,
That is
but like
incredible to me.
let's do pound for pound performance next. Mike, is this a difficult one? Are there multiple choices here?
I tried to make an argument to myself for Aubrey Morris, who plays Mr. Deltoid.
Yeah.
Such a weird, unsettling, like shows up for a scene and a
Yes?
half. But yeah, his weird, he talks weird, and then
Oh, the guy that grabs
what-
his balls in the underwear?
Yes, but what sends it like so it's deeply unsettling the whole time, and then goes into actual violence. But what I was like, I don't know, maybe this guy does deserve it. Is drinking the water dentures throughout the scene, but then realizing at the very end and it being like, wah!
Like Oswald Cobblepot would do.
That character is so upsetting.
So yeah,
Mr.
you know what? Fuck
Deltoid.
it. I'll lose this point, but I'll say Aubrey Morris.
Greg, what do you think?
That's so brave. And I'm not going to be that brave. I'm going to be exactly what I think this movie is and kind of just like do the obvious thing and say Malcolm
It's
McDowell. If you don't, by the end of that first like pullback, if you're not completely committed to this character, Alex, like good or bad, then you're probably just a normal person. But for a lot of us, like just his opening speech and that opening Kubrickian stare is enough to kind of entrance us, I'm going to say. Not like win us over, entrance us, kind of put us under a spell.
If you take a movie like Groundhog Day and replace Andy McDowell with Malcolm McDowell, is it a better movie? Can you imagine waking
Certainly
up
a
every
different
morning
movie.
the same day and it's full of Malcolm McDowell?
Also, I think you see his actual dick in this. And I have to say, I have noticed that how often when there's dick in things, it's like just like a big plastic dick. Take out your real dick, gentlemen. Like people like what the girls don't get to do that. They don't get to like, right? So it's just like you see the stock, and if you stop at moments during the sex scene, you will see the whole dong. So come on, guys.
I'm going to give that one to Mike for his bravery, but that you guys are both wrong. The answer is Patrick McGee, who his performance is either this is your least favorite part of the movie, or you think he's the only one who understood the movie, which is the author, the writer, the doctor who gets visited by Alex twice in the movie. Once to rape his wife. His wife then goes on to kill herself. So he's alone, I think, living his ultimate fantasy with a Darth Vader-sized man
Buff boy.
bear carrying him around. And when he hears Singing in the Rain, Kubrick gets real close to his face. And this was one of the scenes in the movie that I did not forget. Like his reaction to that. I think he gets the movie better than anybody else. But Mike will take the point. We have one more left. And not typically, but there are times where this director has made a movie that we're covering that this will probably be the only movie that we ever cover. For this director's signature moment, it's Stanley Kubrick, who this is our third movie, but also he really directs the fuck out of movies. So the choices are almost endless. Greg, we'll start with you. What is the director's signature moment?
So for me, again, first thought, best thought. The opening shots of this movie has my pound for pound performance. It has my musical moment. It has my fashion. And
Greg
it also
watch
has
more of
my
this movie, or did he just turn it off after the first scene?
Yeah, exactly. I just extrapolated a lot based on this first scene. But I'm sorry, it is a really basic answer. But at the time where he did it, it was not. We did not understand that every Kubrick movie was going to have some character showing their mental unbalancedness by like tipping their head down and peering up through their brows, but that Kubrickian stare into the camera, that really unsettling look. And I'm going to add, for the first time ever, when I watched it as an adult old guy, I noticed not only does this look intense, not only does this fashion choice interesting, but also this kid looks like an absolute baby face. Like, he looks like he's obviously twisted, but he's got these chubby, cute little cheeks, and he really looks like a young guy. And so I'm going to go with that opening shot right down the barrel of the camera up through the brows.
It's interesting. So if you take the two things that Greg just said, he's basically saying, hey, babyface, take out your dick so I can see it.
No.
This scene is why I think Kubrick is full of shit when he says how he plans shots. I remember having this VHS cover, which isn't the actual poster, but it's Alex coming out of a triangle. And I was just like, pick a shape, I guess. Or maybe that's the A for A Clockwork Orange. But it's so very clear if you watch that scene that we pull back and it's not a straight aisle. It is a triangle that he is at the top of. And for the rest of the movie, or from the halfway point on, he is at the bottom of every single triangle shape that is in the movie.
Wow.
You're not just planning that on the fly, Stan. We don't believe
Somebody put
that.
a triangle here. Should we use that?
Mike, what do you think is the shot that was built brick by Kubrick?
I wish I had a bet. Yeah, it's the milk bar scene. It's the opening scene. It fucking nailed it. Greg nailed every reason it is the shot.
Gentlemen, I can't say who won. You both got points on that one. But when we come back, the victor will be announced, and we'll see what chance this movie has. That is A Clockwork Orange. That is our third Kubrick, which I think is only second to Spielberg in amount of movies that we've done, after Barry Lyndon and Eyes Wide Shut twice. It is our first Malcolm McDowell, and I think, unless we do the 60s at any point, our only Malcolm McDowell. So everybody say goodbye to Malcolm. He's been X'd.
With Greg and I, we can push Star Trek Generations. You got Kirk, you got Picard, and you got McDowell.
God damn it. That's which of the cast those three, Mike? Who's the Kirk of the show, the Picard and the McDowell?
Oh, I think you're Kirk.
Ryan's Kirk.
Yeah, Ryan's Kirk. Greg is Picard.
I'm Picard, despite my hair.
He's thoughtful and philosophical. Ryan, you are the sex bot. You're going to get out there, and you're
Also,
an action guy.
And Mike wants to destroy the sun with a missile.
And also, Mike
saying
lays in bed and gets fed soup and eats it like a baby.
Dude. More soup, please.
I thought Kirk was like an incompetent idiot that is only helped by the people that are on his ship.
That's Zap Brannigan.
Okay, that's what I was getting confused, right? And you're Kip, and Greg is Leela. Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Mike, strong showing with 25 points. We all thought that Adele Dazeem moment was going to carry you to the top, but Greg comes in first place with 28 points.
Nice.
So congratulations to Greg, the true Droog of our dreams and our hearts.
The Droogs.
Greg, top 4 movie? Is this in the Elite 8, do you think?
I enjoyed it. Elite 8, no, I remember there being really strong movies. Like I don't have anything against this movie, but like these are the kinds of noises we make when something doesn't have a tremendous chance. I do think there are some things about this movie that will stick with me forever. I'm really glad that we got to talk about it.
We couldn't.
It was, but I just I don't really think it's going to beat almost any other movie that we've talked about so far. It's not going to beat Clute, McCabe and Miss Miller. It's not going to beat The Panic at Needle Park. It's not going to beat The Last Picture Show, The Conformist, or Wanda.
What a season.
Right? So, it's a bad year to be like a very good movie because there are 20 great movies came out.
Mike, real quick, top of your head, rank our 3 Kubricks.
Tell me what they are again.
Eyes Wide Shut, Barry Lyndon.
Yes.
That's got to be number
Clockwork
1.
Orange.
Yeah, it's Eyes Wide Shut, which is won twice. Then Barry Lyndon, then Clockwork Orange.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But
honestly, Eyes Wide Shut is on the short list for movie of the year, movie of the show.
I think I might put Barry Lyndon number 1. But I think that even just with a small sample size, we can all agree that Clockwork Orange is third, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens. It happens.
It's still very good.
It's still very good.
I think it might be my least
Watch it
favorite
with
of the Kubrick movies that I've seen.
Watch it with the kids. Whole family fun.
With the kids.
My
Gather
5-year-old
around,
hated
everybody.
it, but my 5-year-old isn't every 5-year-old, so you might disagree. That is the show. Congratulations to Greg. I will expect muffin baskets daily, right? It's not once a week.
No, it's daily.
It's daily, yeah.
Because
You should be
otherwise
getting-
it's one muffin basket the whole week. What's that?
And I should tell you that I'm allergic to blueberries, bananas, nuts, and muffins. So good luck with that. For Mike, for Greg, I am Ryan, and keep watching those movies. Goofy, tell them how they did.
The perfect